to our town manager, Tom Tucci, for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming, Tom. Speak up a little. Okay. I wanted to welcome you all and thank our town manager, Tom Tucci, for coming, and our honorary member, lifetime member, Joe Balone. Thank you for coming, Joe. And you can stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Cedar Grove Historical Society October meeting, which happens to be the anniversary of. It happens to be our 50th anniversary this year, so that's what we're celebrating tonight with Gene Jager's program, and thank you all for coming. I'd like Gene Jager, our secretary, to read the minutes from last month.
President Julie Ostring called the meeting to order at 7:35, followed by the flag salute. She welcomed all those in attendance. Secretary's minute. Marilyn Lascala made a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Eileen Bogdanovich seconded the motion, and the motion passed. President's report. The pumpkin and apple sale will be held on October 6th, 7th, and 8th, which was Columbus Day, 13th and 14th. There will be a petting zoo and pony rides at the sale on October 13th. Help is needed for the sale. Please contact Julie Ostrom if you can help. The farm stand will be open each Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until the end of October. The Historical Society will celebrate its 50th anniversary at our October meeting. Gene Jager will give a short PowerPoint presentation on the history of the Society and show a video from 1958, a 1958 film depicting Cedar Grove at the time. Pictures and artifacts from the museum will also be on display. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 7:42. Julie Ostering introduced John Zinn, who presented a program entitled New Jersey in World War I. Respectfully submitted, Gene Jager, Secretary.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as read? Cindy? Second?
Second.
Rosie? All approved, all in favor? All opposed? Carried. Okay, so once again, I wanted to thank you all for coming to this really great occasion of the Cedar Grove anniversary, Cedar Grove Historical Society anniversary. Some announcements is that the farm stand has one more week to go, and that we had a really good season, despite the rain that ruined a lot of crops. Our sales are still up for the season, and it was just as busy as ever. So we have one more week at the farm stand this Saturday. The apple pumpkin sale went really well also. Our sales were up, and we added a petting zoo and ice cream. And I want to thank the 30 volunteers that helped me, that helped the whole society. The farm stand was open at the same time as the pumpkin sale on Saturdays. And with the petting zoo and everything, it got a little crazy. So I had 30 volunteers on the 5 days. But everyone was wonderful, and everyone was willing to shift gears on where they needed to be. And I appreciate that. And then coming up, we have our holiday house tour weekend, which is December 1st and 2nd, 1 to 4 p.m. We'll have an open house at the museum. And so come on by. That'll be the next time we'll be open after this Saturday for the farm stand. And don't forget, we always have honey and books and bird houses for sale all year, and they make good Christmas presents and cutting boards. So if you want to come to the house, the holiday house tour, and buy them, or you can just get in touch with any of us, call the number. And one of us is sure to open the house at any time that you want to come in, bring some friends to tour, or to buy anything. We're always flexible that way. And then lastly, our next meeting is February 27th, and it will be an unknown presenter named Jean Jaeger. But this topic will be Cedar Grove Notables. And if you've been following our newsletters, we've been having some interesting people that we've been learning about from Cedar Grove. So she will give a nice, interesting presentation on that in February. And that's it. I'd like to call Marilee Lascala, our nomination chair.
Good evening. I am the nominations chair, and the slate I am presenting for your approval is as follows. Vice President Cindy Newkirk, Treasurer Tom Dispenser, Trustees Janet Spong, Rosemary Partington, Jane Flynn, and Ed Christensen. Are there any nominations from the floor? Right? Then I will ask the secretary to please cast a vote to accept the aforementioned slate.
No, I cast the vote already.
Okay.
So there was no,
So
it's done.
okay.
If we have Jane and Ed who are new to the board here, if they want to welcome them.
Our new board members, Jane Flynn. Thank you. And if there's any announcements from the floor, we'll start the show. Jean Jaeger probably needs no introduction, but please sit after the program.
No, I meant after the meeting.
Okay, one more thing. Sorry.
Put my pen away.
Take that pen out, don't you?
Okay, the Board of Trustees had a meeting on Saturday, and we decided that we would like to create a position of town historian. And Tom Tucci informed us that the society could create this with his blessing. And we voted to have Jean Jaeger, our official township historian.
Very
Thank you.
Thank you. Just ask me any questions at all.
I just want to say you have a fine
My
selection.
husband.
It was a fine selection.
Yes, it is a very fine selection.
Now you have to work harder,
No.
Jean.
I said it was a fine selection as our town historian.
Fine selection.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I will
Jean, for
try to
all you
do
do
a
for the
good job.
society. You're well deserving of that. So we'd like to present Jean Jaeger with the program tonight and the history of the Cedar Grove Historical Society, 50 years.
Yes. Phil, turn out the lights for us, 1 to 4, so you can see this better.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the Cedar Grove Historical Society. It's first of all, we're very glad that you're here to help us celebrate its 50 years. It seems, I haven't been a member for 50 years, but my husband, Phil, has been a member not for 50 years, but almost 50 years. So we're going to start from the very beginning. Leslie Jacobus was the founder of the Historical Society. He spoke with many of the people in town and had a small group of people, about 15 people, meet at his house in November of 1968. Now, we're doing this in October because we don't have a November meeting. But at that meeting, they formed the Historical Society. This is Leslie Jacobus's home, the way it looks today, not the way it looked when he lived in. It's on Pompton Avenue, and I think Phil's on Brunswick?
Brunswick,
The corner of, right. Right across the street from the Grove. You can't see it from the road because it's got trees all in front of it, so it's called Brunswick Road. But at that time, they formed the Cedar Grove Historical Society. The Cedar Grove Historical Society has elected 5 different years of presidents in their time. The first president, of course, was Leslie Jacobus. And I'm sorry for the quality of the picture, but this is the only picture I could find of Leslie. He was the president and the founder. Our second president was Henry Stecker. And Henry Stecker was responsible, in a way, for what the Morgan Museum, which we'll talk about in a little while, because he became very friendly with Courtney Morgan, who left the museum to us. And he's one of the few people that Courtney let into his house. And Courtney actually let Henry Stecker write down things that were in the house and put little stickers on pictures and things like that, so we had an idea of what was in the house. Our third and fifth president was Christian Wernley. Chris became our third president. He was vice president when Henry Stecker, I believe, passed away. Then he became vice president, and then he became president again. Chris, who is no longer with us, lived most of his life. He came to Cedar Grove when he was a young boy, and he was a great source of information for us through the years. He also, one of the things that he brought to the Historical Society is we used to have a car show, and he arranged that for us. Our fourth president was Barbara Young. Barbara Young was very talented. Because of Barbara, a lot of the displays that we have in the Morgan House are there now, because she had a great talent for doing those things. And of course, our sixth president is Julie Ostering, who is doing a marvelous job and who we could not live without. Now, at that first meeting, they decided to have a mission for the Historical Society, and this is the mission. The Cedar Grove Historical Society is a nonprofit organization whose objective is to foster an appreciation and understanding of the history of Cedar Grove. The Society will preserve and protect materials and artifacts which are related to the agricultural and social history of Cedar Grove. The Society will disseminate information about the history of Cedar Grove and other historical topics to the general public through exhibitions and public programs. At a later date, these words were added, including the Canfield Morgan House and its ancillary structures and grounds. They were added after the word artifacts in the second sentence, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. So, in the beginning, this is what the Historical Society did. The meetings were held right here in the library. This is what the library looked like at the time. It is much changed now. In June meetings, they had Cedar Grove Night, which Bill and I attended many times, and members were encouraged to bring stories of old Cedar Groves, artifacts of old Cedar Grove, and it was just sort of a discussion time where they sat down and talked about old Cedar Grove. We don't have it anymore because we don't have that many people left who have those remembrances of old Cedar Grove. The Society hoped to find a room in some older building in order to store their artifacts and documents and photographs that they were collecting about Cedar Grove, and that didn't come about until much later. So they had to store all of these things. Some were stored under the stage at the Cedar Grove Memorial High School, that's what it was called at the time, and at Cedar Grove Savings Bank, which is now Santander. The Historical Society made a publication in 1976 for the United States Bicentennial. They published a booklet called Early Cedar Grove, and they gathered members of the community to write different articles in there. Phil wrote one on transportation. Alice Williams, for those of you who've ever taught in Cedar Grove, who was a teacher in Cedar Grove, wrote one on the schools in Cedar Grove. And the booklet was published right here in Cedar Grove by Ray lithographers who were located on Cedar Street, on Grove Avenue in Cedar Grove. And this is the booklet. There aren't too many of them left anymore. I have them too. Actually, mine is signed by F. Leslie Jacobus. In 1985, big changes came to the Cedar Grove Historical Society. This is Courtney Morgan, who was the very last farmer in Cedar Grove, and the Morgan Farm, the very last farm in Cedar Grove. At one time, Cedar Grove was mostly farms. It was all farmland, mostly settled by the Dutch and by the English. Courtney, whose parents were from England, was the last farmer. Now, when he passed away in 1985, he left his property to the township of Cedar Grove. He had two stipulations. He wanted the township to create a park for passive recreation, and he wanted the Historical Society, I think thanks to Henry Cedar, to create a museum in the farmhouse to preserve the history of Cedar Grove, which is what we've been working on, and which the township has done a wonderful job of creating a park all around the farmhouse. Courtney Morgan was buried in Mount Hebron Cemetery with his parents. And this is a find that Phil found for me, and we went to visit not so long ago. And that's a surprise for some people, because a discussion came up at a board meeting about where he was buried, and so my researcher found it for us. So this was our new home. Now this picture was taken before 1961, and I know that because Mrs. Morgan died in 1961, and that is Mrs. Morgan, who was Courtney's mother, in the front of the house in her gardens. But when we got the house, it wasn't in very good condition, because Courtney lived there alone for 25 years, and he was very interested in farming, but he wasn't too interested in housekeeping or keeping up the house. So the house needed a lot of work before it was able to open to a museum. Even the one outbuilding, which was the barn, that's how it looked when the Historical Society took over.
That's where the current barn is now?
Yes, it is. And you'll see in a minute, okay? The inside of the house wasn't in such good condition either. This was the back hall, and it leads to the back door, which I don't think he ever used, and I also don't think those several vacuum cleaners that are in the kitchen. This was Courtney's bedroom, and this was the back parlor. Now you see all those cushions and the books around. When we took over the house, you couldn't sit on any of those because he had so many things on it. In the front parlor, there was a chair with a television on it, with a rocking chair in front of it, and that's where Courtney probably. So a lot of work had to be done. We needed a lot of volunteers, and we needed a lot of assistance financially in order to get the house done. Some of that financial system came from donations, some of it came from grant money. And this is what the back of the house looks like now. And the barn needed a lot of work, but a grant was gotten to make the barn, and you can see the old stone windows. This is how the barn was renovated. Now, this is the old part of the barn. This was added on to the barn. Not so long ago, we brought the barn back to its original color, and this is how the barn looks now. And as you can see, the inside of the house needed some work too. So this is, and this is how it looks now. This was Courtney's bedroom. It is now called the Cedar Grove room, and there's lots of history about Cedar Grove in that room. This was the back parlor. And this is how it looks now. Now, there were a lot of other rooms that don't look so good. There is, when you get, after we're finished and you get up to look at the artifacts, there is a book over on that table that has all the pictures of what the house looked like then. If you want to see what it looks like now, you'll have to come and visit us. All right, what do we do? The Historical Society is involved in a lot of activities to help us carry out the mission set by our founders. We have community outreach. We give tours. We give tours to scout troops, school groups, adult groups, and the museum is open every Saturday from the end of May to the end of October, so you can just come. But during the rest of the year, all you have to do is contact me or contact Julie, and we'll open up the museum for you. We'll get We have several people who do tours, and whoever's available, just come, and we'd love to give you a tour of the museum. That's why it's there. We do historical presentations. We meet on the fourth Wednesday of September, October, February, March, April, and May. Our meetings are right here at the library at 7:30 p.m. And we give historical programs of interest. And the public is welcome to all of these meetings. These are two of our former meetings that we have had. We had Mark Simmons, who portrayed Albert Einstein. In the next one, I didn't know he was going to be here tonight. But we also had Joe Malone, who gave us a program on Anne and flags. These were just two of the many programs that we have. We have a newsletter. The newsletter is published 8 times a year. I should know, I write it. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and we have a summer edition. It's a 4-page newsletter. In each one, except for the summer edition, there is always an article on Old Cedar Grove that are going on or in the newsletter. And this is a copy of what our newsletter looks like. Now, the newsletter gets mailed to all of our members. So if you want to get a copy of our newsletter, you can become a member. It's cheap. $15 an individual, $20 for a family. But it is also on our website. All of the newsletters that I have written are on the website, and of our older ones also. We give scholarships. Years ago, the scholarship was $100, and over the years it's increased. And thanks to our farm stand and our farm market, this year we were able to give 2 $750 scholarships. One of them went to Christopher Handel, and the other one went to Michael Pernesti. And these are some of our past winners: Julie Lynn, Sean Romeo, and Anthony Sansevieri. We have computer access. This is our website, www.cedargrovehistoricalsociety.org. On our website, all of our programs are listed. All the newsletters are there, and then there's also a section of pictures. Right now, the pictures on there are pictures of the farm stand this year and our pumpkin and apple sale. The information about our farm stand is we have a Facebook page, and the farm stand has its own website. We have an Instagram site. And if you have any questions, and now I guess I'll have to answer them, you can, my email address is gjager@optonline.net. Now, keeping the museum ready for visitors. We have to accession items. And here we see Julie and Janet Spong accessioning some sports memorabilia that was sent to us, which happens to be on display now in one of our cabinets. Accessioning means that everything that is donated to us, first of all, it has to do with the history of Cedar Grove, and we have to enter it into the computer so that we know what we have and where it's located in the house. So that's one of our jobs. We have to make repairs, like every homeowner does. This was just done this summer. It was just completed not so long ago. The house is old, and some of the wood on the porch was rotting, so that had to be repaired. And like every house, we needed a new roof. Now, some of the money for these things have come from the farm stand. Also, they have come from grants. We had to replace equipment. Not so long ago, we had to replace the boiler. And very wonderfully, the town helped us to pay for the replacement of the boiler. And of course, every house needs to be cleaned. So we have our board members, 2 of our board members, very busy cleaning the house. Janet Spong, Marilee Lascala on the left, and Janet Spong on the right. Because we are a museum, we must do research. We do research to learn about some of the artifacts that have been brought to us. We do research to answer questions that people have for us, and to prepare programs like the one I'm giving next week, in February, to present to the society, and sometimes we give them to other groups, and to answer questions. We have to arrange and change displays. I think this was being put up after we painted it. This was a display that we had several years ago, and this is a display that we have now. So now you got to see 2 more rooms. But how do we do all this? Well, 2 very important parts, through fundraising and volunteerism. Everything we do is done by volunteers, and we must raise funds in order to do it. Now, this is a pumpkin and apple sale from several years ago, but the 4 women who are in this picture are all teachers in the Cedar Grove school system. The Cedar Grove Education Association has been sending volunteers to our pumpkin and apple sale for over 25 years. When I was teaching, I used to do it. Now I do it because I'm a member of the Historical Society. Our fundraising, our biggest fundraiser by far is our farm stand. The creation of the farm stand has allowed us to do repairs on the house that we might not have been able to do. It has been a wonderful addition for us. But it takes a lot of work. It was started about 5 years ago. We started out with a little pumpkin patch, hoping that we could grow our own pumpkins for our pumpkin and apple sale, and the deer and the groundhogs, and, they were wonderful. They loved it. They thought it was planted for them. So that didn't work out too well. But John came along and he built raised beds and began to grow things. There's our farmer John, who's sitting down there. And he built raised beds, and it made it into what it is today, but not by himself. He needed a lot of volunteers. These are just 2 volunteers that worked there several years ago, but he's had many, many volunteers come through. He's had groups from businesses that have come in for work for a week to work there. He's had students from Montclair State. He's had students who have come and worked, and just people who want to do gardening. And he could use all the volunteers he can get. Besides the produce, there are other things that are sold at our farm stand. We sell local honey. This we sell all year long. We sell cutting boards. Every one of those cutting boards were individually made by John, and they're beautiful. And we also sell local history books. We have a book on the Meadowbrook, a book about Cedar Grove, which was written by my husband, and we also have one on Overbrook. Our pumpkin and apple sale. Now, the pumpkin and apple sale serves 2 purposes. It was a fundraiser. It always has been a fundraiser. But Courtney Morgan and his mother Edith sold pumpkin and apples from their front, on the front of the house for many, many years. At one time, there was an orchard on the property, and the apples came from there. Eventually, that part of the land was sold, and so they bought them someplace else. But the pumpkins were always grown on there. So in honor of this, that's where the pumpkin and apple sale came about. And it was originally our biggest fundraiser until Farmer John came along. This is a picture from one of our pumpkin and apple sales. So where do we get our, we also get money from grants. 2 recent grants that we've gotten. One was from the New Jersey Historic Trust and Partners for Health. The Partners for Health grants go to the farm stand. Most of the New Jersey Historic Trust go into the house and helping with repairs, but we've gotten other kinds of grants also. And of course, our membership. We raise money from our membership, and as I said, if you're not a member, we'd love to have you as a member. It's cheap. $15 for a single membership, $20 for a family membership. And of course, we always take donations. All the work done by the Historical Society depends on volunteers and our board of directors. So I'd like to introduce you to the board of directors who are on the board now. Both Ed and Jane will be joining us on the board in January. But they can come to our next meeting if they'd like. Our president is Julie Ostering. Our vice president is Cindy Newkirk. Our treasurer is Tom Dispenzaire. Our secretary is Jean Jager. Our trustees, Eileen McDonovitz, Marilee Lascala, Rosemary Partington, and Janet Spahn. So what's going to happen to the Historical Society in the next 50 years? History is not stagnant. It continues to evolve. There are always changes and events that need to be recorded and preserved. This important work, because of the past, helps us to form a better future. The work of the Society goes on even though many of our volunteers left us since 1968. You will be here in the future to help us preserve the history of this town we all love. You can start helping now by volunteering to work in the gardens or farm stand, or by volunteering to help at the pumpkin and apple sale next year. Are you good at technology? We are just learning. We'd love some help. Are you artistic and able to help us with our displays in the museum? Do you like to work in a flower garden? We have 2 gardens that constantly need attention. Or would you just like to learn about Cedar Grove? The Cedar Grove Historical Society is the place for you. Let's preserve our town's history as it grows and changes. So now I'm going to show you a film that was made in 1958, even before the Cedar Grove Historical Society was formed. Now, it obviously was not made on a DVD at that time. It was a film. It was later, what you're going to see, was later changed to a videotape. And that videotape was shown on our public channel in the 80s, and this is what you're going to see. It's since been changed to DVD, so just give me a minute to get this started. Trip of nostalgia. Join us for a piece of our anniversary cake. Over on the side, there's a nostalgic trip down Pompton Avenue with pictures of Pompton Avenue as it used to be. And on the front table, there are some of the artifacts from the Morgan Museum. And of course, we'd love to see you all at the Morgan Museum sometime.
Good job.
This was. They came out all over the country. You know, the back of this there's a monument up there. You know that? Huh. Seen it up there? I've been up there for years. This is stone. Oh, yeah, it says they, that's the shows how it twists, turns around.
Go back now to 50, 60 years. As I go through things, I put some stuff aside. Oh, I certainly will. I would love to see it go someplace in as part of like a rotational type thing. I won't throw it, like my mother, we don't throw anything out. Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can't take anything, but there is stuff.
Oh, sure.
Like, I know friends of mine cleaning out their parents' house, and it's just like, every night looking at what's going on, I'm like, no. But then there's the opposite of saving everything.
Yeah. See this one over here? Yeah, my mother saved. I think she saved every reading ever.
Oh, that's sweet.
Well, when I cleaned out her house, I estimated
On your house, Tom? Your parents' house?
5 or 6 boxes, 3 kids.
The hill?
Did you see
Yeah,
this?
that's a good one.
This is great.
And partial because they moved away. We were separated, so we had a long distance relationship. So there was a lot of cards back and forth. You know, so that was we kept in touch with each other. So she didn't have the kids; she had the cards.
What are these big buildings?
I was going to questions. I'm going the opposite way here, so.
I'm interested in this Cedar Grove Swimming Club or something.
He was up on the pool.
There was a pool.
I wonder if that's.
Well, there's
where
a
they
pool
come
now,
in.
but I mean, the one that they were showing.
No, that was up. I think that was supposedly up on the by the utility right away.
No. But there was something like. Oh.
Yeah, she's still with us.
I see you, but I don't.
Yeah. Michelle. Yeah. Well, the kids, you know, they're off to work.
And then we saw the new barn.
Let me take a look. Maybe they didn't put it behind the construction.
It was dark.
highest bidder.